I am here with Hannah Elsakr, VP of Generative AI New Business Ventures. Hannah, it's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Kash.
So let's talk about Adobe Firefly. For those of us who know Firefly just as the model, it's actually much bigger than that. Tell us what Firefly is, and tell us about what Firefly Foundry is, the new initiative that is being announced this week.
Thank you. So Firefly began as models, as a family of models that were commercially safe because we care so much. You're here at Max with us. We care so much about the creative community. So lots of modalities, vector, audio, image, video, all tuned safely because we have license to every piece of data that goes into that model. So that's where we started. What we learned from the customers was that the models are not the end game. They're doing serious creative work in our tooling, and Firefly needed to adapt to do that as well. So we now consider Firefly also an app, a web app, and on mobile phone, where you can do lots of creative tasks, whether you're doing text to video or images to video, you can really kind of take it to go all the way from the model on. You also asked me about
Foundry.
The big news. Adobe Firefly Foundry. This is such an incredible addition to the enterprise suite. Actually, the origin story is that customers asked us to go there. We have customization already. The original models obviously don't know IP. We consider that a feature, not a bug. Then we introduced custom models last year, which is a self-serve, lighter tuning, single concept model. And now the customer said, that's not enough. We need world building. I need you to understand all my brand, all my guidelines, my characters, my mascots, creative styles. And that really requires deep tuning. And so Adobe Firefly Foundry is a deep tuning service. Along with it, we surgically reopen our base models, which
basically to customize these models.
Exactly.
So to whatever the customer wants.
They're commercially safe to start with. Then we take the customer's IP. We run the GPUs with really smart PhDs working on it, reweighting and overfitting. And then we close it up, and that becomes a private model to the enterprise. So that's really an entire world that is understood that's concerning your brand.
So this is Adobe sending in these forward deployed engineers we've heard so much about in the land of AI.
Yeah.
This is Adobe sending in their team to say, hey, we've heard you need help. Take our people. We'll teach you how to use AI on the ground and actually make use of all the products that we're giving you.
Yeah, the way I would think about it is these are forward deployed PhDs, right? These are not just full stack engineers. We have a whole team. Our purpose is around creativity and marketing. And so we also have workflow experts, creativity workflow experts. And that's what the customers really appreciate. Models unto themselves are helpful, but if they're not in a workflow where I'm doing serious work, it's still frictionful. So our job is to make that frictionless.
So that added service where Adobe is sending in this team of PhDs, like you said, is the customer fronting the cost, or is Adobe fronting the cost for that?
We consider these very much a partnership with the customer, and it is a different model. So you're probably used to our seats-based model. Here it's really use case-based. So we go in, we try to discover what are the customer's biggest problems that might involve complex media. We think about the use cases, and then we band around that to deliver that service to them. So it's really a joint partnership that works with them. Of course, it's their IP that they're bringing to us and that we're tagging as well. So we work together on that.
And is the idea that eventually the customer might not need people from Adobe to help them run these tools? I mean, is the idea here that you kind of teach them how to use these tools and then you kind of walk away and then the customer has the knowledge that that they need?
Yeah, so there's two levels to this. We talked at the beginning about models, and then we talked about tooling and workflow. At the model level, customers have told me they're not going to hire 200, 300 PhDs to tune models for them. So that's a very unique skill that we bring to them. What we're doing at the end, once the model is high quality, is we pipe it wherever they want into their workflows. That's where the creatives and the marketers live. At that point, it becomes ubiquitous to what they do, whether they're sitting in Photoshop or Gen Studio or Illustrator, any of the tooling where they would do a marketing campaign, an ad campaign, and a piece of original content. At that point, it becomes a model just like any other model that you can access from Adobe. Most brands, though, do have continuous needs because they have, hundreds of brands in their portfolios, lots of countries they're serving, new campaigns that come out every week. In media and entertainment, you can have different franchises, different characters, story arcs. we're all voracious watchers of video these days, 12 plus hours. And so we need lots of fresh content 3 or 4 times a week. So there's a continuous need and innovation around that.
You talked a little bit about pricing, and I want to dive a little bit deeper into that. So is Adobe moving from sort of that seats-based model to more usage-based pricing that we've heard so many AI companies talk a lot about?
I think we're complementing the needs. And so our current models obviously are subscription-based. You and I could each have individual subscriptions for that work, but there is a use case-based need where maybe as an enterprise specifically, you would train that once. So if you have brand X in your portfolio or sub-brand X, you could probably train that once as the enterprise and then make it available to everyone in the enterprise who needed it.
So just before we let you go, I do want to ask one last question here, because we're talking about all these models, and I've always wondered the economics of a company like Adobe giving access to a company like, Runway's model, Luma's model, all these different models. I mean, what do those deals look like, and who's paying who? Give us a sense for that.
Chris is a great friend, Amit is a great friend at Luma, and these companies recognize that where the serious creative work and marketing work is done is in Adobe tools. And so we've had a lot of dialogue about how this is a beneficial thing for both of us, and letting them get inside of the tools more natively so that there's less friction, again, to serve the customer and give them choice.
Great. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.